Okay. Uh, Hi, my name is Maximilian Smoter from Ad Personam. Ad Personam strives to establish a platform for free discussion, confrontation of views, clashing ideologies, and finding compromises. Any interested person can participate in our debates. I'm pleased to host today's debate of Greens of Europe. I have with me today Viktor Miazek from the Polish Ostra Zieleń. Okay.
Sorry for that. So hi, my name is Victor. I'm current Polish Young Greens International Secretary, and I'm happy I can be here today.
Okay, I have with me Johanna Maria Tyge from the Young Estonian Green Party.
Yes. Hi, my name is Johanna, and I'm actually also in the Estonian Greens. I'm the vice leader, actually, so I have two big roles to play.
And I have with me Martin Staks from the youth branch of Latvian Green Party.
Hello, my name is Martin. So I'm really pleased to be here, and I really like this idea so far. So good luck to everybody, and let's see how it goes.
Okay, thanks. Without further ado, let's start with the questions. So the first question is, how much is the historical membership in the Soviet bloc present in your country? And we will start with Martin Staks.
Yes. So the presence of like the happenings, what have happened, of course, is quite a lot noticeable in Latvia in general. We can see in everyday life all around us old Soviet housing projects, some ruins from military projects, and so. But not only that, the biggest problem I believe is that that trust issues, what is still coming, trust issues to politics, to the neighbors, or to whatsoever, what still comes with the Soviet bloc, like this presence in the past. So definitely this is one thing, one of the situations what we can actually notice everywhere around Latvia, not only in the major cities but as well in the countryside, in all of the spheres, in working, in a housing, in whatsoever. And we have been working towards to fix this issue in general, to basically bring our country to something more, how to say, more advanced than not stuck in the past in general. And everybody, there is actually not a single person, I believe, in Latvia who is still like being nostalgic about those times. And we have been working quite hard toward it to make change and to make a difference, and to show that we are not anymore the country what was back then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the second person is Johanna.
Well, we are neighbors with Latvians, so we have, of course, a lot in common, and very big, I would say, debates in Estonian society are still the problem of Russian-speaking people and their education. And I think the Latvians have also the same questions in mind: how to solve the Russian question. That's a very big thing that has been going on for, well, the last 30 years. And I think the important decisions needed to be taken 30 years ago, but well, now we are here. Well, the Greens are in favor of offering everyone Estonian education. But of course, it seems like it is very controversial because it can be seen in a bad light, and definitely from also the Russian side. The Russian media can turn that into a weird fascist realm that we definitely do not want. So that's a very controversial aspect of our everyday reality here. And how to connect people also in work life. to bring people more together. It seems sometimes like we would have an apartheid that is like not an official apartheid, but it still happens that Russians live next to Russians and Estonians live next to Estonians, and they don't mix that well. Although slowly it is getting better, but it is definitely a thing that we as Estonians need to focus on, and is a remnant of the past, kind of. And I would bring another thing. What also kind of Martin said was the trust towards the state, and I think we could raise that with citizenship that is, how would I say now, participative citizenship, so that people would be more a part of their society. They could take part of referendums and well, just be more connected to each other. So that's kind of a Scandinavian thing where the trust towards the society is just bigger. So that's that.
Okay, thank you. And now Victor.
Yeah, so as was already mentioned, we do have a lot of problems because of our common past. But we as Polish and Greens like to divide those problems into two groups. So the problems that are coming directly from the communist times and are the problems that are the result of a really poor transformation process. So the problems that are coming directly from communist times are, as was already mentioned, lack of trust into politicians, but that's not all, because we can still see a low voting turnout or lack of trust into politicians, but it's also lack of trust to the police. It's also a huge problem with nepotism. It's a huge problem with hidden corruption. And what is most important, it's the way of thinking that you either work against the country, you are looking for some loopholes or some not fully legal ways to do things, or you will get screwed by the country. And that is really common. It's really sad to see that people don't believe in country, don't believe in legislative process, that they are even willing to break law so that they can work or live. But we also do have problems that are coming from really poor transformation, and it's really sad to see that things that communist times achieved were just lost by that. In Poland, it's mostly seen in our railway system and transportation system, which since 1989 decreased. We are offering still less connections. A lot of places are just left behind without any way of public transportation getting to them. So we have the problems coming from the communist times doubled, because this is our psychology that was left by communists, and then problems that came after that, and they. Together, they are quite difficult to tackle at the same time. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks. So do you have anything to add? No? Okay, so we'll jump to the second question. And the second question is, how would you rate the historic attempts to create a Warsaw Accord, which was Poland, Latvia, Estonia, and Finland? Would it be useful to work together with access to the Baltic Sea in the present times? So the first person to answer the question is Victor.
Okay, so I will definitely not concentrate on the past, because it's really difficult to say now what was good in those times or what was bad. But I do want to focus on present. So we do have already a European Union which is working quite well, and we are in favor of further integration, European integration. In my opinion, the creating of another union that would be only concentrated on the Baltic states would be just not very logical and wouldn't work that well. We've seen already such attempts as the Visegrad Group or other local groups and politician alliances, but they are definitely not that long-lasting as the European Union. They do not have powerful enough budgets. They don't have enough power. Don't have any power, and they are usually connected to the governments that are in power in those countries at the time of creating such unions. So, in our opinion, creating any more integration right now, only concentrated on the Baltic states, would be just not working well enough. And we much prefer working in European Union for further integration.
Okay, thank you, Victor. And the second person is Martins.
Yes, I kind of agree with Victor that it would be wrong to look back in the past and to see and judge whether it was correct or incorrect, or like how would it end if there would be a union like this. However, I would disagree that further integration would be not useful. And I have already spoken with quite a few people like sharing the same thoughts, and within European Green Union, like other green parties, basically, that there is quite few countries only in European Union who share the same problems. Like we all, like if we look at the countries mentioned in the question, Poland, Latvia, Estonia, and Finland, we kind of share the same issues what we have had. There is half of the year, there is a quite cold winter. We have this access to the same water sources. We have had problems with the same neighboring countries before that. So I do believe that only understanding each other pain in the past, like we could actually work and towards more efficient solution. And as example, like I believe that nobody in it, however Italy is in European Union, nobody will ever understand the struggle that it's still snowing in Latvia. And so I believe that working together or creating at least some sort of organization what would at least work or discuss the issues what we have at the moment would be quite useful. Maybe our voices would be stronger together, and we could actually work towards and somehow adjust or maybe make bigger changes in European Union. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Martins. And now, Johanna.
Yeah, we also thought spring is coming, but nope, today it started snowing, so I can really feel your pain, Martins. But yeah, about this Warsaw Accord, I would say that it's pretty sweet, but since it was before the European Union, then, well, I think European Union does the job pretty well, so I'm happy with that, and I would really like to work towards more integration, as Victor mentioned. So I can agree with that, but at the same time, I can really understand that this problem that with Italy or Portugal, the past and our historic journey has been so different that it is hard to even sometimes just implement the same values or rules or laws. So having this Eastern European kind of union definitely could lead to success stories, because as we share the same history, we can find better ways to cooperate. And yeah, so I would really like if we would have some more Eastern European cooperation. Although I don't know how Finland would fit into that. And there are a few similar unions, definitely the one about the Baltic Sea, but there's also Sweden there, and it's all about the Baltic Sea conservation. And I think it's a great thing to, like, one thing that unifies us and we are really interested in, something that unifies us and is a common goal. So just finding this one thing that we need to work together on, I think is a good idea. So yeah, I don't think right now that we would need a separate new Warsaw Accord.
Okay, so Victor would like to add something to the Martin's speech.
Yeah, so in my opinion, mentioning that other countries can understand us properly, because, for example, weather is it's not really serious, because there are other European countries that are also pretty up north, and it's really surprising when you think about it. But there are a lot of countries that we do share a lot of common problems, and or on the other hand, inside the Eastern Bloc, there are countries that don't share some problems at all, just like the problem with people without citizenship in Latvia or in Estonia, because, for example, we don't have that problem in Poland. And what I also wanted to add, there are already programs that are concentrated on developing Eastern Europe, and they are working quite well. I think the best example is the current Rail Baltica project, which is really powerful and really a great project that we are really waiting for the finishing of it. So we know that there's need for more cooperation in this region, but we think that it can all stay in European Union without making additional bodies that will not actually work.
I have a quick question to you, Victor.
Okay, Johanna.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said something about the Rail Baltic. So are you saying that you're in favor of it and that it would just bring more integration?
Yeah, I think that this is just an example of the project, because the transportation, especially the sustainable transportation in Eastern Europe, is suffering a lot. There are really a few international train connections in Eastern Europe. We all had some problems with railway, actually. So I think personally that such programs like Rail Baltica that are operated in Eastern Europe internationally, so they can connect different countries and work for the development of the countries, are a really good idea.
Yeah, I think it's worth of another separate debate again, because there is so much to discuss. The Estonian Greens, for example, are, as this project is right now, we are against it because of the environmental impact that it creates. And we see that there are, I'm just only talking about the Estonian thing, what happens inside the Estonian borders, that there are better ways to do it. So it's kind of a conflicting thing for us. Just wanted to put it out there.
And I'm not saying that this project is perfect, but I wanted to mention this project as an example. I do understand that in the process of developing Rail Baltica, there are some problems, not only environmental problems, but also problems with of other type, as for example, the problems with workers or with I can't really think about anything right now, but not sustainable way of building it. But I wanted to mention this project as an example of international cooperation that can actually exist together inside the European Union and be promoted and financed by it.
Okay, Martin, would you like to address the victors at bottom?
Yeah, I partly agree. I agree with Johanna that the Rail Baltic is quite discussable in general, and not even that. Like, I will be one of the lucky ones who will live right next to Rail Baltic. So that's quite subjective. Opinion of mine would be like, it would be quite subjective to basically say my opinion about Rail Baltic. But yeah, there is a lot of great projects where like countries from our side of the Europe have worked together, and they have came out quite great. But what I mean in general, there is still a lot of things what countries of the Eastern Bloc share and will share in the future. And I'm not saying that there should be a new organization or I don't know, some wing, but it is definitely food for thoughts in the future on maybe to create some I don't know, maybe discussion platform just so we could share and address those few problems before they appear, like maybe Europe-wise, but we could already identify them when they're already in one or other country. Yeah.
Okay, so any more at bottom? Okay, if not, we'll go to the next question. And the third question is, how would you rate the Federation of Young European Greens and the way it goes on? Yeah, and the first person to answer is Johanna.
I would have said Victor would really open this up really well. But I think Martins is also not part of the FYEG. Yeah, you're not. Okay, so but me neither, or us either not. So we're not part of the FYEG, but we have had some contact to them. We know the people who are there, and we actually stay in contact with the Finnish FYEG because Estonians and Finns kind of get along pretty well, and it almost seems like our societies are growing next to each other, kind of like we see them as a really good example of what we could be. And so we learn from each other. And they have actually come to Tallinn, to Estonia's capital, to visit us. And so we work kind of side by side. We also have the local election coming up, so that there's where they can help us, because they are having it just, I guess, in a month or so. So otherwise, we have been trying to get into FYEG for like several years, but the thing is, we haven't had the people in our organization to update our goals and our main principles, and to translate that into English and send that to the FYEG. So basically, we have done all the other parts, but we haven't done that. So we have yet not still been accepted, but it is our goal to be accepted de jure also into this organization. Otherwise, I see FYEG as a really powerful organization. Why? Because they can do these changes, and they can decide on things that the bigger parties cannot. I bring you an example. For example, in Estonia, we are deciding whether to allow same-sex marriage or not. It's a huge deal. And of course, the conservatives are on their back feet totally. So the first organizations who started politically addressing this and leading this change were the youth organizations of the Social Democrats and the Greens. And then suddenly the parties also came along, and then the other parties that, like the neoliberals in the government, they came along too, seeing that, oops, we kind of need to like care about people, and we kind of need to care about human rights and stuff like that, and people really like that. So this is an example of how the youth organizations can really press the political decisions. And I see that FYEG is doing that, and that's why I would really like to be a part of that.
Okay, thank you, Johanna. And the second person to answer the question is Victor.
So yeah, I'm really happy that we as Polish and Greens are a part of FYEG, and we see it as a really great cooperation network, as well as a really democratized organization. It's a perfect solution of international cooperation and how it should look like. Because although the FYEG is not having the monopoly on green ideas and green youth, they were fighting for the green causes for years actually. And it's a great place when the more powerful Western organizations, maybe not only Western, but from countries when the green movement is much more powerful, they can create support for the smaller organizations, just as Polish and Greens were for many years. And that was creating a lot of opportunities for young people to get training, to get opportunities to learn how to participate in politics and to have some more possibilities of doing it. So for years, we've been pretty active in FYEG, trying to cooperate internationally as much as possible, because although, as I said, the FYEG is not having the monopoly on green ideas, it does definitely stand with the green values and promotes them. So the participating in FYEG for many organizations is like a proof that they are fighting for equality, for green values, for ecology, climate, and for European integration. Because European integration is one of the basic things of the green movement, and that's why we always a bit skeptical when one of organizations that was connected to the green movement is not following our ideas and is not sharing properly our common values. That's why today I wanted to mark it very clearly. That the Estonian Greens are already part of the European Green Party, and we are waiting for the Estonian Young Greens to join us in FYEG. But we must admit that we are really disappointed with the Latvian Green Party, which was kicked out of EGP, and the Latvian Green Youth that was never participating in FYEG activities and is definitely not fighting for our common causes. That's why we are not willing. That's why we don't want to be associated with them as one organization.
Okay, thank you, Victor. And now, Martins.
Yes. So FYEG is definitely a great tool, and it's very useful for younger generation, like basically to express themselves and to push something through what was not available to do before. And we totally agree with it. But however, as Victor already mentioned, as we had some disagreements with European Green parties, and if I remember correctly, 2 years ago, after some discussion, we left European Green parties. We actually share the same, how to say it, we share the same concern regarding FYEG, because if you open their main page or do some research, like I'm not saying about like some deep search, but like just casual, there's very few green values what you can see there. For example, on their front page, you can see that they're fighting regarding feminism, and okay, they call it green feminism, but all right, anti-Muslim hatred, some other things. But in our party opinion and in my personal opinion, this is not really something what would be called green. Those also are, of course, problems, and they need to be solved. But like, I wouldn't put it underneath the same topic as the green. So this is one of the reasons. However, we like this organization, and we agree with some of their ideas and the way of life. However, we, as a youth wing of Latvian Green Party, we don't consider joining there so far, as we haven't tried to join there in a previous history. And it's at the same time, it's quite hard actually to explain, as we agree some of the ideology, but we don't see ourselves as a part of it. I guess it's more like we kind of share the same ideas, but maybe we don't share the same. That we don't share the same value of the way how to achieve those ideas. So this is the reason why the situation is like this, as Victor already mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Victor wants to address Martin's speech.
Yeah. So I wanted especially addressing what is green and what is not. So even if you skip the social part of it, which, just to say, was always one of the basics of the green movement, but even if you focus only on the ecological aspect of it, we have been noticing for years that the Latvian Green Party was not performing well in that areas. And we definitely were very concerned when we saw the actions taken by Latvian Greens, especially about the fight for equality, fight for the rights of the oppressed minorities, and about some other issues like really warm tweets and remote statements about Trump or other right-wing American politicians made by the leaders of the Green Party of Latvia. That's why we have, although they use name Green, it's in their name and used to be a part of the EGP. We are definitely not seeing it a part of Green movement, and definitely wanted to express that nobody should affiliate them with us.
Yes, some of the claims made by European Green parties were incorrect, and that was already as well informed in my speech in that like those 2 years ago. However, I have to agree that there has been some wrong actions in past of Latvian Green Party, and those have been fixed not because they go against the main values of European Green parties, but because they go against the values of the Latvian Green Party. And those have been fixed, and we informed the leadership of the European Green parties as well regarding that. What else regarding? Yes, you mentioned the main values, the original values. please remember that the Latvian Green Party was one of the original creator parties of the European Green Union, like not the Green Union, but the European Green Parties. So I believe that our chairman and the board, they are aware of the original values of European Green Parties. So I don't want to bring this this topic to the hard discussion and disagreement in general, but that's quite sure, and we all can agree that Latvian Green Party and some of the other parties in European Green Parties have grown a little bit different over the time. And as well, if you see the voting, what was at the end of this meeting 2 years ago, then you can see that Latvian Green Party was not only party who was sharing the same values before. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. So the fourth question is, how should we deal with the hazard of World War II chemical weapons leakage on the Baltic seafloor? And the first person to answer that question is Victor.
So just as I said in the first question, this is a serious problem that concerns all of the countries that are in the Baltic area, and this is the problem of mostly of the problem of European Union, as most of nearly whole Baltic Sea is in the area of European Union. And in our opinion, what we need right now is creation of special European Union programs that will found the clearing of the Baltic Sea, and that will hopefully tackle this problem well, so that we avoid some ecological disasters. So this is another problem that we can't really fix on our own, and we shouldn't fix it only by ourselves. And by ourselves, I mean countries separately, or only countries in the European Union that have access to Baltic Sea. In my opinion, this is the problem of whole European Union, and the whole European Union should be engaged in it. Definitely, what should be done with this problem is creating a special fund for it and special tactic of fighting the potential ecological crisis in Baltic Sea. But the terms and this program shouldn't be made just as the other European programs. And I say it more with the Polish context, when our government is not using the European Union money properly, when you can often see that it's basically just wasted and or not used at all, so the money is just left unused. So we would really like to see more of European engagement of it, so that the countries wouldn't be responsible for this problem alone, and that they would be controlled somehow. And European Union would be coordinating such program so that we can all see it as a common issue, not and a common issue that is still tackled by countries separately. We need a cooperation for that, and in our opinion, only with international cooperation, a strong international cooperation, we can tackle this problem properly.
Okay, thanks. Now it's Johanna.
Yes, I totally agree that it's a collective problem, and since Europe is all about solidarity, then this is a big question about solidarity. Just like COVID, it regards us all. It's not like it is in our water, so it doesn't regard like Denmark or Portugal, like definitely does. And I think it's also a way of tackling the nuclear lobby that is being done right now, especially in Estonia. So it's a great way to bring in the anti-nuclear discourse, I would say. And in Estonia, we definitely need this right now, because we are burning a lot of shale oil, basically, which gives us energetic, I don't know if that's a word, but independence. So we don't need to buy electricity right now. We actually sell it, but we sell it with a very high cost. So I think there is a possibility to do some work.
Okay, thank you. And the third person is Martins.
Yes, so regarding this waste in Baltic Sea, I agree that it should be like something that all Europe should be part of, as there is no one to blame, I believe. Like I read a little bit of history 2 days ago and noticed that all three countries what were actually dumping were none of them were part of European Union. And as well, I discovered that there is actually quite a large amount of this waste dropped by ex-Soviet Union, and the locations is even unknown. So this actually quite makes this whole operation much harder. However, I believe that this should be one of the top priorities for the union, as the official time for those for this waste, when it like basically the time when this waste could become dangerous were set from 22 years to 150 years, and it is well over 22 years, and this could become critical issue every moment now. And yeah, I do believe that this should be one of the main issues we should fix this while we still can, actually, and there's no bigger damage done to the nature in general. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Martins. Does anyone have anything to add? Okay, if not, we'll jump to the last question from the program, and it's a question: is globalization a threat or an opportunity for a development? So the first person to answer this question is Martins.
Yes. So globalization is definitely works hand in hand for development. However, this is one of the concerns what either me, either like Green Party of Latvia, and my family have mentioned already before, as the globalization might actually somehow take the advantage and monopolize the specific markets in general. So this is quite interesting topic, as we definitely need to work towards, and then we need to like work with other countries in general, but we need to as well remember the values, and we need to help or every single country's like locals or local businesses, and so, and yeah, this is quite an interesting topic in general. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just a small reminder that any of the viewers can ask a question on Facebook or on the YouTube chat, and we will ask them later. And getting back to the question, so the second person is Johanna.
Yes, it's a big question, and it depends on what are we talking about exactly. Are we talking about economy, or are we talking about food? Globalization is never a one-way street. So when we see a lot of globalization happening on a global level, even in a big massive amount, then we can also see the opposite happening somewhere else or even quite nearby. So what has actually COVID brought on to Estonia is that people are getting more rural. So they are going back to their like countryside houses, or they're finding that, wow, like plants are pretty awesome. I can grow my own food, and being independent is now a big question. So can globalization offer us support when there is a major crisis happening? It almost seems like that in Estonia, we have a secret weapon, and this secret weapon is our countryside houses and our grandmothers who know how to survive a nuclear winter with no electricity and with no supermarkets around. So what do you do when there's no electricity and you are in this I don't know, like Khrushchevka? We all know, I guess, what is a Khrushchevka, and you're suddenly out of power in the middle of winter. So what do you do? So when you would go into your country house, that is like the anti-globalization phenomena, then this is a huge thing, in my opinion, that should not be lost, and this should be like supported. This kind of development. I would be really interested what the other guys think about this.
Okay, thank you. So the second person is Martins.
So yeah, as I mentioned already, like this is, and I agree with Joanna, this is a huge question. Regarding the nuclear winter in the grandma's place, yeah, that's a great thing. And however, there is actually quite a big issue in our country at the moment, as the current government is actually kind of trying to neutralize this, how to say, grandma's bunkers and so, and actually trying to stop local businesses and only allowing the big supply chains to work there. So from like as Johanna mentioned in the beginning, it's very important to discuss in which topic, and if it's regarding labor, if it's regarding food chains or so, definitely I would say that globalization is a threat. If we speaking about some other topics like environmental awareness issues or maybe working towards one or other project, then definitely globalization is our friend. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Martin. And now for the question, Victor.
Well, this example is a quite good example, but to the much bigger problem, because in my opinion, the globalization is not a problem by itself. It's the results of uncontrolled globalization that are affecting us the mostly. And they are coming from outside the European Union and outside of Europe, and we are more and more dependent to the cheap labor of the poorer countries of Asia or of Africa. We are just starting to become dependent on them, and that's when the problem mentioned by Joanna came up. So in my opinion, we definitely should more focus on local, on promoting local products, of promoting the delivery chains so that we can basically reduce the amount, for example, of the CO2 emitted, because in transportation and with long delivery chains, it's become an increasing problem. We can also focus on our local problems better when we just use our resources, and we skip the globalization part, which is basically concentrated on using cheap labor from other places and cheap products from other places. So, in my opinion, I definitely would like to see a better promotion of European products, of European labor, and of keeping our own resources in Europe, not to use other countries. Because although I don't want to call it a modern colonialism, because right now it's much more complicated problem that you can't describe so simply. But fighting with the uncontrolled globalization would definitely be a priority for the European Union in following years, because there are a lot of problems that, although affects us globally and that we should all work together for, we should also concentrate on our part of it, because we are not doing well right now.
Okay, thank you. And Johanna has something to add.
Yes, I think, as we know, it is a very complex problem, but I would bring in a few points to make this question a little bit more specific. So I guess it would be more practical and it would make more sense. So in my opinion, for example, medicine is a very big area where a certified business is okay. So in my opinion, it brings more safety, but there are areas where these certified products really can affect societies big time. So I would bring in the big problem of certified seeds. So that's where we get our food. And that's where like half of the people get their everyday bread, as in their work, their food, and what their family relies on. And now I'm not talking about mainly Europe, but I'm talking about the third world. In India, there have been tens of thousands of deaths of suicides of farmers who have bought these certified seeds from Monsanto. And now they have lost their crops because they had a bad year, and they can't they can't pay their loans back, and they can't buy new seeds. Before that, you would have the seeds regenerated each season. So this just takes away people's independence, really, and not just talking about their daily food. And I think this is a really big problem that I really take seriously, and I don't think Europe has taken this seriously enough. So this big corporative business globalization, in my opinion, is the biggest thing we need to tackle. They don't care about the rule of law. They just buy off the courts. You can sue them as much as you want, but they will always have more money. They will always have the better lawyers, and they just don't care. So Nestle will buy half of the world's oceans, and you know what? We're just going to cry about it, and there's nothing to do. So I want to prevent that. And in that regard, I would say, like certified products they're not always better, and globalization in that regard is even a threat, I would say.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Victor wants to add about some.
Yeah, I think the problems mentioned by you are absolutely perfect examples of uncontrolled globalization, and why we should tackle this problem together as European Union, because you know, we separately are not really powerful countries, And the smaller the countries, the smaller the influence of it, the weaker it is to fight with the huge corporations that are just trying to use our systems to exploit and just earn money on that. So yeah, I think that the problem with crops and with not very controlled market of seeds is a perfect example, because right now, even though there is some control on European level, it's definitely not working well. It's definitely lacking a lot of rules, a lot of we just really need a new tactic on it. And in my opinion, we should definitely give this power to European Union, because then it will be the most effective. Because European market is quite huge. We are one of the richest regions of the world. We are just significant in geopolitics, and we need to tackle this problem more properly. The seeds example is actually the perfect example in present times, but I think not the only one, because we also need new strategies with the internet law and with the exploiting of our data by huge corporations. And this is just two problems for the beginning, because there's so much more of that.
Okay, thank you, Victor. Does anyone have anything else to add? If not, we'll move on to the viewers' questions. And the first question is from Kuba. And it's, what do you think are core green values? And the first person to answer this question is Victor.
So definitely the green movement was always concentrated equally on fight for the ecology, fighting with climate changes, but also fighting for the social equality. So this was always also a fight for LGBT rights, for feminism, for other social issues. And I think that in green movement you should never separate these issues, because they are the core of it. Without it, with separating them or concentrating only on one part of it, we are just becoming all ecological movement or the social movement. But we are so much more than that, and that's why we should never leave behind any of our topics that we are that we are just based on. So I think that if I should describe the few most important values, it would be definitely democracy, equality, ecology, equal accessibility to, and I think that would be it, because this is already a lot, and we can see that even inside our movement, we have sometimes a problem with it. And the Latvian Greens were a perfect example of what happens to parties that are not following the green movement and then green values well.
Okay, thank you, Victor. The second person is Martins.
Yes, so regarding the core green values, this is one of the topics what we actually have quite discussed over the last 3 or 4 years in our party. And of course, there is a lot of opinions regarding this topic, but what we have came across our core values, or core green values, is first of all is the nature, second of all is the human, and third of it is basically the possibility for this human to live in this nature as uninterrupted as it can be, and to live as less trace as it can be, as it's possible, basically. That in my opinion as well, like not only the party wise, it's as well my personal opinion regarding the green values with what I've been raised. And I know it's a little bit different than some other people from the Green parties might believe, like in other countries, but this is, I believe, something more national thing in our opinion. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Martins. And the third person is Johanna.
Yeah, I would really bring out what I mentioned before, the rule of law, so that, well, rules are for everyone. And definitely in regards to these big corporations, this is a thing that protects the people. And that I think relates very strongly to the core green values. And what else? Well, just like Victor said, you need to choose a political path. Otherwise, you are just another, well, nature protection society or union, and we're not that. We need to do more, and our methods to get there is through social equality. And that's that, I think.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have anything else to add? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the next viewer's question. It's from Dekoji, and it's a question, I mean, it's a two-part question, so I'll try to brief it. Sorry, Johanna, are you saying something? Because
No, I was.
Oh, okay. So the Koji heard that acting in the field of ecology is crucial and reforms are urgent, but also acting too radical can provoke resistance against them. Thus, how do you think should pro-eco reforms be introduced and how to deal with possible discontent because of them? And the first person to answer this question is Johanna.
I would need to see this question like in front of me. It was really long.
It should be there.
Pro-eco reforms be introduced and how to deal with possible discontent because of them. That's a really good question. Environmental conflicts depend, like how to solve them depends highly on the specific issue. So how to do that would, well, you need to address everyone's interests. A big problem here that happened a few years ago was the problem between private land and forest owners who needed to give their land away under protection, so they could not chop it down because a very specific animal called the flying squirrel lives there. It was found there, and it is the most I think it was the most southern part of the world where they live. They usually live in more colder climates, and they are very sensitive animals. So the private landowners were not happy with the compensation they got from the government. So this forest war has been going on for several years. But now the good thing what happened and helped to solve this problem was the overall success story of this animal that was very highly relatable for people, because it was so cute, it was so special. So when this protection started to work and show better results, these animals were found more and more, then people were like, yeah, I think we like this animal more than these few parts of the forest. It is a very hard conflict, but you need to choose something. So I think this result has been good for the animals.
Okay, thank you, Hannah. And the second person to answer is Victor.
So for many years, we had some problems with people not being aware of ecological issues, and we've seen recently a change of that in that and way of thinking in many European countries, and it's actually, in my opinion, thanks to the Fridays for Future movement, which I'm also a part of in my city, and we've seen a massive public debate that was concentrated on it, and that the climate issues started to be present in the public debate. So what we need now are the really strong actions on that. And we always understand that there are some problems, because when you are closing a mine or closing a power plant, it will always mean losing jobs for some people. But that's where the just transition strategy of European Green Party and Greens EFA group in Euro Parliament is coming. And this is basically the just transition strategy is made on protecting people, but also tackling climate changes. So in the just transition idea, there is no person left behind when anything is changed for the more sustainable or more ecological. And when you think about it, it's not that difficult, because we need to make actions now. We also need to educate people more. We need to give time for our governments, for our NGOs, and even for parents to educate their children about this idea, so everyone will understand why it's that important and what's happening right now in the world. But we can't wait any longer to introduce those changes, and that's why just transition is definitely a priority right now. But the just is the key word in that sentence, because if we only concentrate on transition, if we only concentrate on the climate and we'll leave people behind, it will be just a problem for them, for future generations, even for whole nations, because this is protecting also our workplaces. This is also protecting our people from suffering poverty, for suffering from lacking of having resources to live. So that's why in the transition, we have to remember about the people and protect them. I'm not sure if any of those actions can be radical and can be considered radical if they are made properly, so that they will not hurt any person. And in my opinion, despite we understand that there can be some losses to businesses or anything else, but governments and European Union have the power to protect them. And what is most important, any disadvantages will be much smaller than the advantages of the transition system and to fighting the climate change. And I think that's not the debate, because it's right now a choice between a more sustainable future or having an absolute world crisis that will not end up well for anybody.
Okay, thank you, Victor. And now the last person to answer this question is Martins.
Yes, so regarding those pro-eco reforms, this has been quite an interesting topic, what we've been as a party fighting for quite a long time, because Latvians, by the by the idea we don't go that often in a protests. We don't fight for a lot of things like what is like national-wise questions, and there is even a lot of jokes regarding Latvians that if we are said to do something and we don't like it, we just agree with it or so. But I believe this has been changed in last few years as a generation goes on, and this actually might be one of the things what's been regarding one of the things what might be still back from Soviet times. So I see that the things is changing now, and a lot of people start to live more ecological in general. There's a lot more people actually joining our campaigns and living this totally waste-free lifestyle, or maybe fighting for cutting down of the forests in the center of the city almost. And I think this is one of the things what we have been working a lot, and we still need to work on it. But this is definitely getting better and better by each year. And it's hard to say either the mentality of the Latvians have changed like recently, if we speak specifically about Latvia, or this is maybe input of some specific peoples or organizations. But yeah, I saw there was a question. No, or something.
Yeah, I think Johanna
Yeah,
wanted
comment.
to start.
Yeah, that this phenomenon of active citizenship is definitely not only happening in Latvia but also in Estonia. And what we see is that people want to be part of politics. They want to be heard, and they are not okay with only having a say in politics or what their life should be like every 4 years. And then you just go and elect one person and you should be okay with that. We see that we are not okay with that, and there have been quite nice success stories where local communities have been brought together against the actual government, not private business related interests. And they have been able to protect their land and their special areas. And I think that is really special, and that is really, really good. And we want more of that. And it is definitely a way to solve conflicts. Active citizenship, take part and say what you think.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have anything to add? If not, we'll jump to the next viewer question. It's from Kupa again, and it's a question: what is your organization's position on LGBT rights, especially gay marriage? And the first person to answer this question is Victor.
So this is not a secret that the green movement in Poland, especially, was created first by the LGBT people and vegans, which is also always a funny story, but this is how it all started. And we are in favor of full equality without any exceptions, and that is not only concentrating on gay marriage, which of course is one part of our struggle and for our fight and demands, but we are concentrating on much more, especially right now on the trans issues, because in Poland, people that are trans still struggle a lot and are facing a lot of problems in their transition process, especially when they have to sue their parents if they want to legally change a gender. But they definitely have problems also in universities when they can't always use their chosen name and pronouns, and the issue is not really well understood by politicians and even by people. So that's why we concentrate on these most specific issues when it comes to LGBT rights. But we absolutely never forget about the most general demands. As I said, we are always in favor of full equality because especially in Poland, there's still a lot to do. I think from people from countries that we are from today, Estonia is doing best on this area, but I hope we will join your level 2 or even surpass it, so that we can have better reality in our countries.
Okay, so if we're on the topic of Estonia, the next person to answer is Johanna.
I'm actually really glad that we are here, Poland, Latvia, and Estonia, because usually Estonia is the black sheep. Like we are the people who are like, from Eastern Europe. We kind of like we have those old conservative people and with their old ways and so. But I wouldn't say we are doing great in that regard, but to hear that you would be doing even worse, well, that's sad, and that's definitely a place that we need to work on. And I definitely agree with all the things that Victor said. We are living in the 21st century. Like, I understand the conservative views and the ways that we could protect the traditional family. Well, first of all, what is a traditional family? Like, how many of us have actually a traditional family? Like, what is that? A mom and dad, like, and children. We have so many broken families, it's crazy. So I don't think even that's a really good argument from the conservatives, but I still understand that. But still, the world is changing so fast, and I think our social norms need to move along with that and create, again, freedom for people. And why create excessive pain? I don't understand that, and that doesn't go with the green values. So if we can remove pain from people's lives with just creating a safe environment for people, I am all about that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Anna. So the last person to answer this question is Martins.
Yes, so regarding LGBT rights and especially gay marriage, neither Latvian Green Party or neither me, we believe that there shouldn't be no one should be discriminated. Sorry, yeah, no one should be discriminated, and I believe that every person should have the same rights. However, this in Latvia have been quite sensitive topic, and a lot of people have asked this topic to Latvian Green Party, to me specifically, or not even like political wise. Like this have been quite a topic recently. We as a party, and I have to agree with the party this time, that we don't see this as one of the green values. This is one of the topics that definitely should be talked about. This is one of the topics which should definitely be fixed in general, but we don't see this as a green value. And as we don't put one or another, sex marriage or so as a value, as a green value in general, we focus on the people, specifically people, and we focus on the like green values, the saving the forest and flora and fauna. But with whom you go to home and sleep in one bed, we don't consider that as a green thing, green topic in general. So as in the end, regarding this, I don't believe that there should be anyone should be ignored or should have less rights than another. But I believe that there's other parties who should fight more for this cause, because me and Latvian Green Party, we are focusing on different problems, and we all have to agree that there's quite few what needs to be done besides this one.
Okay, thank you, Martins. Does anyone have anything else to add?
I think I will. I want to say about Johanna's speech, which I absolutely agree on, and it's always fascinating to me how you can see the right-wing rhetoric that is absolutely the same across Europe, and it's really sad to see the same problems in other countries as well, especially when it comes to discrimination. And so, yeah. I mean, we in Poland were always a little bit jealous of countries when it's a little bit better, because we also want to be at that place. But to be honest, it's also worrying that the same politics, the right-wing politics that are causing the discrimination are present in our countries as well, and you can even hear it partially in the Martin's speech, which is absolutely for me a great example of why the Latvian Green Party is no longer considered by us as a part of the green movement in Europe, and we don't want to be associated with it. We were always fighting for the equality, and since the very beginning of the green movement in Europe, so that's worrying that this ignoration is just coming to our old former cooperation organization.
Okay, anything else to add? Okay, if not, we'll move on to.
I had
Okay.
a little something. So I just find that leaving these social problems to other organizations to lead is, I think, a bad idea, because what happened in Estonia was that the LGBTQ plus whatever union is supported by the government, and then when the last government that we had, the previous one, had well, they were conservative, or they were like alt-right ones, and they really had problems with the governmental support to this union. So what happened was that they took it away and gave it to an anti-abortion union, which was like not our cup of tea, especially as a woman. And you just see that you can't make it a non-political thing. It is essentially a political thing. So yeah, I cannot leave it just to be a non-governmental thing, because it is. You can just take the money away and they cannot do their thing anymore.
Let me somehow a little bit explain myself a little bit more. So a little bit of the history regarding Latvian Green Party and those questions what I have been I have heard quite a lot, and so don't get us wrong, we are not against, we are not homophobic or whatever, but we would love to be a part of it as well, to say our opinion and maybe to push it towards one or another direction. But since the last few years, actually quite few years, and European Green Parties were quite big part of it, why this is like it is at the moment, there was quite a big marketing campaign that Latvian Green Party is against gay people, about against gay marriage, about LGBT. Yeah, you get me. And this is kind of thing what everybody in all of the European green parties in other countries think about us, that we are against this or that. And basically what we've been claiming, we've been working all those years about that we really care about the rabbits or about the wolves in our countryside, but we are leaving other topics behind it, because no matter what we do, what we say or whatever, we always will be against it and against it and against it, and there will be new claims and new accusations that we are doing this or that bad. And there's actually no other things what we can really do about it. So we just decided that we will never be against it, but we will won't push it as well, as there is if we bring back those events in 2-year history, there's already a new Latvian progressive party, a little bit greenish now European Green parties, and they are really fighting for the same-sex marriages, about the gay rights and so, but there's nothing green about their main values. And as they moved in this direction, we decided that we will be the ones who are still fighting for the core values of our party. Yes.
I understand you so well, because right now we have a new party that is called Estonia 200, and it is like kind of green, but is representing itself very like, we are progressive, we are new, we are fresh, and like we're better than all of the other ones, and we like basically they're neoliberals. They are like the new what we have in our government, the Reform Party that was in the government for like 25 years. And it's in its core nothing new, and it's greenwashing a lot. So I think this is what you have got in Latvia right now. And we have this problem as well. And when you look into Estonia, well, the Greens only have like 4 or 5% right now. It's nothing happy, it's nothing good. And then the Estonia 200 that was established only 2 years ago has like 15%, which is huge in Estonia. So I would like to say, what the hell? And they're saying that they're green and everything, but to the real Greens, what we say that we are, it's not enough. It's greenwashing. Yeah.
Exactly the same situation in Latvia. Like the only difference in Latvia that this have been going for years already, and there is a huge money behind it. And like these new green parties, they haven't made any changes. Yes, they have been on those protests for the Friday, for the tomorrow, and so they're claiming that they're the only ones. When we went to this council 2 years ago, and this was only for the member parties, and we were discussing either Latvian Green Party still staying in European Green parties. Right after the meeting with me, the main board
Yeah.
had a meeting with them
Yeah, I saw
outside
that.
of the yes, and all of those things. And like it's cool and it's fine. Like if there's other parties, we would love to work together with a party who share the same values or so. But like if there is a party and their main selling point is that they have a pretty much the same name, like as we do, and the only sales point what they have, that they're more like open-hearted and more fighting for the same-sex marriage, and so we don't consider it as green. It's greenwashing. There is more money for campaigns. There is more like contracts beneath the table, like as we have seen it, all of that, and we don't consider it as a green. That's why our opinion, that's why we stand so harsh about regarding the core values of the green values. And we have kind of stopped fighting for this because there's somebody else claiming that they're fighting for it, and that we are not, like that we are the, like, I don't know, creepy old party what's like against it. So yeah, we just gave them a chance to prove it and then let's see how they do it. We're gonna focus on our main core values. We agree with some of the things what they do. If they succeed, great. If and we're just happy. If they don't, then we could just gonna continue to do what we do.
Yes, I would like to add here that it is a very good illustration how different parts of Europe have different developments. And as we can see, Latvia and Estonia are a bit similar. I won't go into details what exactly is going on in Estonia, but basically this green political like separation is happening. So you can be green on very different areas. So you can be on the left, on the right, wherever, and anarchist even, and you can be green, right? So I can see that I can say that Martins is green. But maybe like the people from Belgium would be, what the hell? You're not green, like you're like pro-Trump and stuff like that. No, like no. I wouldn't go that far at all. It's just that the Western European, Eastern, Southern, and Northern European political developments are indeed different, and those pose a definite and a clear and obvious problem and conflict that we see here. And I saw how hard it was for Martins in Tampere to explain himself when the whole crowd there was like, "You're trash now for us. We don't even want to hear you." Even like, so I really felt that. But at the same time, it is what it is, and the European Green Party has set their rules, kind of, and but that won't stop you from protecting the wolves. I'm happy about that, at least.
I will maybe add that to this, that the Latvian Green Party is definitely much more conservative than it sounds right now, because it's not about only not supporting LGBT people or saying that it's their private issue, but as far as I know, you are definitely not cooperating, and we're not willing to cooperate with the new Progressive Party, and that is now in Latvia, and by the way, got pretty great in the last Riga snap elections. But you are, as the Latvian Greens, still in the coalition with the Farm and Peasant Union. And it was a huge shock for us. And when we saw the voting in your parliament about the new resolution that would change your constitution, and that would definitely ban any LGBT rights that are possible to achieve right now, because if you chose to stay in coalition that is so conservative that they are willing to support such changes, anti-LGBT people, then it's hard to say that you are innocent or were treated badly by the rest of EGP. Because if one party is focusing on LGBT issues and social issues, it's not creating a monopoly. It's not a cake that can be eaten just by one person, because the fight for ecology and fight for equality can be shared easily by different parties. And as for now, the protest, so the organization from Latvia that joined FYEG is supporting such ideas, and they are fighting for LGBT rights and for ecological issues. And only during this debate, I heard from you supporting your party in not fighting for LGBT rights. That's why I think it's a little bit. It's pretty much your own. It's responsibility that the rest of the green movement is not willing to be attached to anymore, and it's just easier to cooperate with the new party in Latvia, which is just willing to support equality and ecology at the same time, and not fight for and not go with the conservative movement with coalition, and definitely not vote in parliament for such homophobic resolutions.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have anything to add? If not, we'll move to the next segment of the last segment of our debate. Your questions. I mean, we asked you before, I think a few days ago, if you have any questions you want to ask the other debaters. So now is the time. So we'll start with Martins. Do you have any questions for any of the debaters or for all of them?
There's no specific questions. So like I already know Johanna, and I love the way how the Green Party have what they have done and what their core values. I have to be honest with you, I don't know Victor that good or the political views of the party. is in. But I would love to ask to you, like, where do you see your party within like 5 years? This is like one of the like job interview questions. Where do you see your party within like 5 years, and what would be the closest goals, achievements for your party specifically, maybe for yourself specifically, and what do you like as what do you see needs to be done, something like that?
So in Poland, it's not that difficult to express where I see my party in 5 years, and I hopefully see it in government, with anti-peace government, because this is the biggest struggle right now in Poland, when the opposition is trying to unite so that we can finally rebuild our country out of the mess that it's right now. And during that time, the green values will be extremely important, because Poland is not going well with the just transition. We are not doing well with transition at all, and we will just need a better and much faster transition, as we are one of the biggest polluters in Europe, and the responsibility for it is only on us. What is more, I see my party still fighting and for the equal rights in Poland, because right now we are the last one, European Union, in case of LGBT rights, and I hope that the Greens will have bigger representation in Parliament. That won't not be easy, because the political situation in Poland is not easy in these days, but I hope that my party and my youth wing, which I hope will be present during all green events in Poland, as we want to promote democratization of political parties, further democratization, and further youth participation in politics, which is also an issue. We see us together working for more democratic, more equal and better Poland, not only from the opposition part of politics, but also from the actual government, because this is the first time the Greens would be in Parliament, and I hope it will be possible.
Okay, Martins, do you have anything to add? Any more questions? Anything else?
Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to Johanna. Also, it doesn't need to be a question. It can just be some form of free thought. Anything you'd like to add?
Right now, I don't have any specific questions, but it is really nice to get to know you guys. And I think this is a good sign of good cooperation and integration, because we don't get to meet each other these times so much. So it's really nice to discuss these things with you. And well, I have similar dreams to Victor. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Victor, do you have anything to ask, to add anything?
I actually wanted to ask you, Johanna, how you are seeing the development and how you are doing right now in Estonia, because I was just wondering how it was in the recent months of the pandemic, how you were the Estonian Greens, and especially Estonian young Greens, managing to grow, because I've noticed that especially in polls, you've become more significant recently, and I was just interested in how you were doing.
I just remembered that I have this cup, and I just want to say that it's a comedy show, but it looks real bad, and I'm really sorry.
Actually, it looks a bit similar to our symbol, which is of a women's strike, because we have one.
Oh yeah.
One lightning, so it's a bit bad.
Yeah.
But those two, they don't mix very well historically.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this is a comedy, a political comedy show, actually. Yeah. So what is our development story right now in the pandemic, you mean? Well, in the last months of last year, we put together the core group of the Young Greens, and I am the leader of that. I was like, well, this has to stop. We need to make a real organization that is like actually organized, and I kind of just started doing that. And since Estonians are really like techie people, like we are like internet people, and we don't like to meet people sometimes. I mean, like we're quite reserved and quiet, you know. So this whole pandemic thing really played out well for us, as in we don't need to actually meet people, and we can control as much as we want, like contact, because like internet really offers you that. And the transition to like from real life to like everything online was really smooth kind of for us, and offered us more opportunities than before, because now kind of like everyone can take part. I had COVID a week ago. I just recovered, but I could still take part of things, and I could not have done that before. So yeah, in crisis you can still find opportunities.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from anyone? Any thoughts on or anything?
I think that's all. I'm just happy that I could talk today with the other organizations that consider themselves green outside of FYEG, which I usually work inside and cooperate with, because it was really a good experience to see, and it gives a lot of thoughts for me. So as international secretary, so thank you for that.
Okay, so I guess if no one has anything else to add, that's all. Thank you very much to all the debaters, all the viewers, everyone for today's debate. It was a real pleasure to host this one. We're inviting all of you to like our page on Facebook, subscribe our channel on YouTube. We will surely host more international debates soon. It's our second one, so we're not really used to them, but I guess we will see more of them in the future. And I think that's all. Thank you very much.